Welcome to a new podcast episode of Nina's Apothecary. We're embarking on a series about food intolerances, as I've noticed in my daily life as a pharmacist, and personally, as well as among friends and family, that it's becoming increasingly common. Today, I'm starting with a topic that personally affects me: lactose intolerance. For those who have known me for a while or my parents, you're aware that I've had lactose intolerance pretty much forever, which wasn't much of a topic 35 years ago when I was born. After breast milk, I suddenly started spitting out or refusing milk, or even vomiting. Back then, it wasn't well known, so nobody really understood what was wrong with me. It was just seen as odd. Without teeth, it was a bit difficult, and there were no lactose-free alternatives available, so my parents just pured meat or vegetables for me instead, and I was satisfied. Eventually, they figured out that I simply did not want any milk or dairy products. Reflecting on this, it's clear that many people are lactose intolerant, and those of us who are tend to think it's a defect. Essentially, it is because it means we can't tolerate something in milk, namely lactose, the milk sugar. This is because we lack an enzyme in the small intestine called lactase. If this enzyme is missing or not active enough, it can't break down lactose, leading to gastrointestinal problems or other symptoms. You might think this is unfortunate, but actually it's natural that once we stop breastfeeding, which is when we need these enzymes, we would not have anything to do with milk or lactose again. Who could have predicted that we would drink milk from pregnant animals or those that think they are pregnant? This thought always makes me queasy, but that's another topic. Thus, it's normal to become lactose intolerant after weaning. However, due to our society and acclimatization, because we continue consuming milk and dairy products, most people do not develop lactose intolerance, or it appears suddenly in puberty or later in life without a clear reason. Therefore, for those who are lactose intolerant, and I assume others are not listening to this, you are quite normal, actually more normal than others, which is great. As the name suggests, lactose intolerance and intolerance is not an allergy, unlike other intolerances or food allergies that can be dangerous and even lead to death. For instance, someone with a seafood allergy could experience an allergic shock that can be fatal. Lactose intolerance is not like that, but it's important to distinguish it from a milk allergy, which is a real allergy to milk and is very rare. And this milk allergy functions like all other allergies, meaning our body reacts to the protein in the milk, whatever form it may take. It usually starts with suddenly developing an allergy to something, becoming red, feeling itchy, and strange. Then you eat it again, and the reaction becomes stronger. Please be cautious and avoid eating it further, as it can progressively worsen and have severe consequences. Just a side note. Essentially, there are two types of lactose intolerance: primary and secondary. Primary is congenital or genetic, and secondary occurs due to a disease, such as a gastrointestinal disorder, celiac disease, Crohn's disease, or similar, likely appearing later in life. What are the symptoms of lactose intolerance? Many are familiar with or know them, starting with nausea or discomfort, diarrhea, noises in the belly, bloating, and, though rare, vomiting. Essentially, anything related to the gastrointestinal tract. If I suspect I might be lactose intolerant, how can I confirm it? There are several methods. The first is a breath test at the doctor's, the second is a stool test, the third is a blood test, and the fourth is an elimination test. That means if I eat everything daily and tolerate it all except dairy products, then I likely have lactose intolerance. If only these symptoms occur, which can be very unpleasant and significantly impact one's life, Whether in a restaurant or just having coffee, one must rely on whether the food is lactose-free, such as soy milk. I often opt for something additional or choose black coffee, just to be safe, especially during travel, to avoid constantly seeking a restroom. As mentioned earlier, lactose intolerance is widespread. To put it into perspective globally, 65 to 75% of people worldwide are lactose intolerant, a significant number. As mentioned, the more lactose one consumes after breastfeeding, the less likely they are to develop lactose intolerance because the enzymes that break down lactose remain in the gut. However, the less dairy one consumes in their daily life, the higher the likelihood of developing lactose intolerance. There are also ethnic differences, with regions where lactose intolerance is more common and others where it is less so. For example, lactose intolerance is very high in Asian countries, whereas lactose tolerance is higher in European countries. Anyone who has been to Asia knows dairy is not as common there as in Western breakfasts, with milk and cereal, or coffee with milk, which explains their lower tolerance to lactose. Historical factors also play a role, such as in regions with extensive livestock farming and abundant milk, where lactose tolerance is much higher compared to areas with less animal husbandry. It's logical, but also fascinating. And what's the most important thing I can do if I believe or know I have lactose intolerance? Firstly, switching to lactose-free alternatives is crucial. No one wants to experience diarrhea, stomach pain, nausea, or just a general feeling of discomfort after eating. Thankfully, there are now many different options available for milk. Those who follow me regularly on social media know that the best plant-based milk alternatives are soy, almond, or coconut. Please stay away from starchy milk substitutes like oat and rice, as they are just sugar and cause a spike in blood sugar and insulin. Secondly, if I have lactose intolerance, I need to plan a bit when cooking to always have lactose-free alternatives at home, for example. The third option is taking an enzyme, specifically lactase, with the first bite of food, which helps break it down. I found it helps, but not always, and its effectiveness varies day by day and depends on the type of dairy product, like yogurt, cheese, or cream, which I can't handle at all. This variability is confirmed by many people with various food intolerances. Some days are better than others, which is natural. Physical and mental condition can also influence our enzymes and body. These supplements can certainly be helpful, and the enzyme is available if one chooses to use it. What else can you do? You've probably missed this one. Drink enough water. Now, you might think I've gone off the deep end. What does drinking water have to do with lactose intolerance? Mainly, if you're already experiencing diarrhea, you're losing fluids and need to rehydrate. Very important. Another tip is to consume fermented foods, as they contain enzymes that can boost each other and good bacteria, potentially easing the breakdown of any present lactose. In conclusion, it may sometimes seem trivialized, but it's genuinely uncomfortable dealing with gastrointestinal issues in daily life, especially in public. So please don't make light of it. Restaurants, bars, cafes, please ensure that lactose-free really means lactose-free, as most people aren't doing this for fun. If you have questions, feel free to contact me on Instagram, Anina Milenk, on TikTok, a Frau Apotheker, or on my website, karish.at, where you can find a contact form or my email address. If you see me, please don't hesitate to speak to me. I'm always happy to see you, and I thank you for watching and listening. All that's left to say is, cherish yourself.